Hello, welcome to Brave English 1, Friday, August 21st. I hope you had a first good day. Here is our warm-up slide. Our agenda is to complete our warm-up. You'll have a Nearpod activity to do, and then we're going to go over email etiquette, part 1. Your objective today is I will get to know my teacher and classmates and learn tips for writing professional emails by learning etiquette tips and distinguishing between professional writing versus slang. All right, so on your in Google Classroom, you'll need to pause the video for a moment and go to Google Classroom and find the warm-up Google form and complete that, and then come back and continue watching the video about email etiquette. So go ahead and pause the video and go complete your warm-up. Okay, so the next thing you'll need to do is a Nearpod activity. You'll need to go to joinnearpod.com and then please enter this code here. We have a little would you rather activity just to see, and I'll put out the data from that. So I've been looking forward to getting to know all my students this year. If you have a phone, you can do it on your phone instead of your computer so you can see the slides. Please pause the video and do the Nearpod activity. Okay. What is correspondence? So correspondence is a communication by exchanging letters or emails with somebody. To contact teachers at school, students will use email. Specifically, we're going to be using our Bronco email. When you send an email to your teachers, your recipient will expect your email to look and sound professional. It's very important to know how to email professionally. You'll be expected to email professionally in high school, college, and the real world. And it is definitely a task nowadays with technology that is very crucial. You'll definitely do it a lot in college, and when you have your career, you'll be doing a lot of emailing as well. I will tell you that my husband's boss is almost very meticulous about grammar, so sometimes I have to grammar check his emails. So he won't let his employees end their sentences with prepositions, which is something you're not supposed to do, but you just never know who will be your boss and what their expectations will be with your writing. So again, professionalism with writing is very important. And of course, with the possibility that everybody might be going remote, this is going to be the way we will communicate all the time. So email etiquette 101, and this is part 1. Part 2 will continue on Monday. So what is it? A general set of expectations regarding how people should communicate when they're sending electronic emails. So there are standards that you may not realize that are expected when you're communicating with certain people. So why does it matter? What is well, you have professionalism. You want to come across as someone who knows what they're talking about. I will say I've had several emails from students already, and I've been very pleased with the professionalism, the politeness, the great tone that has come through in them. And they've been very clear. Efficiency, writing emails that are clear and eloquent will increase the effectiveness of your communication. I was able to solve problems much quicker instead of having to reply back like, well, what are you talking about? Please help explain this to me, because students have been very clear in their communication. Respect. If you're writing an email, you're often making a request. So you want your audience to respect you as a person. And common sense. An element of basic humanity is being kind to others. Angry, hateful email is counterintuitive to that. So always, have that soft tone. Consider your audience. How might your style of tone be different when you're emailing? What is it going to look like when you're with your boss? Okay, what is it if it's a parent? Let's even talk about the difference between those two. Between a boss, it's definitely going to be Mr. So-and-so, very professional. A parent, you might not be as, you might do little shortcuts in what you're saying. A friend, you do that a lot with texting, will probably look different. And a pastor would definitely look different, more professional. How to email your teacher. So, in your academic career, there will be many times that you'll email your teacher. When doing so, you make these tips a priority. Tip number 1, use professional email address. So nobody wants to see your personal email. We don't want to see Sir Mix-a-Lot Ninja at Ymail. We want to see your Bronco email. That way it also gives us your name when we see it, so we don't have to guess, well, who's this email from, if you didn't identify who you were in your email. Tip 2, professional font. I know we like to look cutesy and all that. Just make sure whatever font you choose, it's clear to read, not like script and slanted and maybe colors that are light and too hard to read. Just make sure everything looks clean and professional. Tip number 3, include a clear, direct subject line so it's easy to tell who you are, what you want. So a clear subject line that I would like to see, especially since it's the beginning of the year and we're just getting to know you, is your name, what period, because that's going to take me a little time to get used to, especially with remote students, which period you're in, and what is the main idea, what are you focusing, the main topic of this email. Tip 4, begin with professional salutations. Dear Mr. Cruz, dear Mrs. Weston, good morning, hello, good afternoon. Just make sure you always use salutations. Spell the recipient's name correctly. You may think that sounds funny, but I have seen names misspelled. I've seen my name misspelled. I've even been given the wrong last name. So I know you're probably might get some teachers confused because everything is new. Just make sure whenever you are emailing your teacher, especially at the beginning here, that you are using the correct name. Because like it says here, it looks lazy to email someone with a request that you want something to do for you, but you weren't thoughtful enough to take the time to double check the spelling of their name or that you're emailing the correct name of the teacher. Tip 6, avoid explanation points. They are informal. Just sometimes people find that offensive too depending on what you say. Avoid using all caps. It sounds like you're shouting at people. That's kind of the way people know that you're like saying surprise, hello, hooray. People may use bold letters capped letters there, and it just sounds like you're shouting. So be sure you avoid that. Tip 8, avoid sarcasm, followed by winky faces or other emojis. Sarcasm is really hard to read in emails. It's so much different than when you hear the inflection in someone's tone of voice. So just be careful to avoid being sarcastic. Emojis, I know they're fun. They're more in the texting world. They're just not very professional. So save that for when you're texting with your friends. And it can be construed as passive aggressive sometimes. Tip 8, don't email when angry. If you are upset about something, a grade, a comment the teacher made on your assignment, and because you worked really hard, you felt like that the teacher wasn't being fair, wait till you calm down and then address. There's nothing worse than putting all your frustration in the email and that attack coming towards the person in the receiving of the email. Sometimes you need to take a step back and look at things and know how best to address those people. It might be, maybe you even want to talk to the teacher in person. Maybe that you can have a one-on-one Google Meet or phone conference. Words are read differently than they are heard. So sometimes you may not even be angry, but they come across angry. So it's a challenge, but you have to learn how to balance it all. Tip 10, avoid blaming and excuses. Take responsibility and ownership. Don't blame your pet or your parents or your teacher or your siblings or the president. Go on and just, take your ownership and just, I'm going to do better next time. Email tip number 11, be clear and mention specifics. Your teacher has many students. So today in class, you handed back my paper. Well, okay, I don't know what class you're talking about. Sometimes I pass back multiple papers in the class. So be specific. Was it the warm up? Was it the test over Romeo and Juliet? All you're going to do is when you're not clear enough, I'm going to have to email you back when I have an opportunity to respond to your email, and it's going to delay the process of you getting your questions answered. So always be clear. Be concise. Say what you need to say in a few sentences or less. Tip 13, avoid using the word you if at all possible. So of course, sometimes you have to say you, but you will find out when, but you, see, I use you. When we are learning about expository writing, I'm going to ask you to avoid using the word you. It sounds a little bit more like you attacking a person in some ways. It's a more accusatory tone. So we're definitely going to avoid that in our formal writing. But in emails, you don't want to say, well, you gave me an A or you gave me an F. Sorry, I should say, you gave me an F on this project and I don't understand. Well, it's coming back at me kind of in a rude tone by saying that because obviously I gave you the grade, but you gave me the work that earned the grade. So you have to be careful the way you word your emails. Tip 14, include both your first and last name in the signature block. So at the end, when we're saying thank you, sincerely, my best, and be sure you put your first and last name, because sometimes I have multiple students with the same first name, and it's just very professional. And so to make sure we know who we're talking to. If you watch some videos on Google on YouTube, you can actually see how you can set your signature box for you, so you don't have to sign every time. It will do it for you automatically. Proofread. Use complete sentences and proper grammar to maintain professionalism. You are not texting your friend. So even in the warm-ups yesterday, when I was looking at the warm-ups, there was a lack of some professionalism there, but always, we're in pre-AP, we're always writing properly, complete sentences, proper grammar. That means capitalizing the first word in the sentence. That means capitalizing someone's name. That means do not capitalize words that are not supposed to be capitalized in the middle of the sentence. That's having periods. It's using commas correctly, not writing run-on sentences. So you have to really brush up on your grammar skills to make sure that you are writing your very best for class. Always reread what you type. I don't know how many times I'm a horrible texter. And so whenever I text, I have to proofread because I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't mean to say that, or I left a word out and it didn't make sense. Always proofread your writing. Tip 16, include a compliment and or a note of thankfulness. Compliments and gratuity make your audience more receptive to your request, and they also help you to come across as a kind and considerate person, which I would hope you are. So always be, thank you for your time. Thank you for helping me in advance, anything like that, just to show that you are thankful for the person listening to what you're having to say and helping you figure out any problems. Tip 17, allow for time response. So allow your teachers at least 24 hours to reply to your email. Believe it or not, we have lives too. But and especially with remote students this year, it's a challenge balancing both taking care of my in-house kids and the remote students. So I really will try to do my very best to have your responses answered quickly as possible. should be before 24-hour period, but sometimes my email box does get jammed up with so many emails. If I do forget, please don't hesitate to reply like, Miss Weston, I asked this question and I haven't heard from you yet. Just wanted to double check if you were able to get an answer or find a solution. So just remind me. I will not consider that rude. Just say it politely and it will be fine. Email tip 18, beware of high and low register. High register tone, that's when you're talking to your superior, like your boss or a teacher. Thank you so much for helping me study for the upcoming novel test, which is going to be different than when you're talking to your friend or family member who maybe helped you study for the test. It was so awesome hanging out today studying for that test. So you can see how that's a more casual tone, more comfortable, friendly, where the register tone of the first one is a much more professional. Just know your audience. How to email a teacher. If the content in your email is on the negative side at all, use flattery to sandwich approach. This is just actually a good technique to always use whenever you're talking to somebody, even in person. And you have something maybe you're upset about something and you don't want them to be offended or hurt. You just want to talk about it, or you just have a little frustration that you need to get out. Start off with some kind of flattery, a positive comment. I really enjoyed what we learned in class today. I found it very interesting. And follow with your complaint. I didn't feel like I quite understood how you were wanting us to write our response to this question. It seemed confusing to me, but follow with the flattery. I didn't know if you were able to help me in a Google Meet or on the phone. I'd greatly appreciate your time for helping me. So as you see, just sandwich it in. Start off with something positive, flattering, put in your complaint, and then end positively. Ultimately, the way you email someone reflects who you are as a person. So take your time and do it correctly so that people not only take you seriously, but also have mad respect for you. So as remote students, you are going to be emailing your teachers, and these are such good first impressions right now. You want to make sure you maintain that throughout your time that you are out with remote learning. So just keep that in mind. So here's your exit ticket. You can go to Google Classroom, pause the video, read the box, and find out what's wrong with this email excerpt. Circle the choice, or on your Google Forms, select the one. Sorry, it's not a Google form. It is actually a question in Google Classroom, but you will select the choice that is the correct answer. So you can take a moment and do that. Afterwards, I'm going to click through these. You can see there's some additional practices. Sorry, it's a little blurry. I don't know what happened. But there's some additional practicing where you'll look at the email and see what's wrong. And there's answers have been given to you. So just do those and, see if you can get the answer correct. I'm sorry. And then there's some sentences here that demonstrate that they're the best. Which one is the best? You have to choose the best etiquette one. So just practice with that and see how well you do, and look at the difference between an email that's not so great and the email that has a more professional tone to it. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I hope it will be helpful for you for the time while you're out on remote. So have a good day and have a great weekend. Thank you for watching this video.